All right. Hey, everyone. Genome here, coming at you with the next episode of Grader's Notes. I am proud to host this evening's show. It comes back to everyone's channel every 8 weeks. So it's a long time in between, but I think it adds a lot of variety to move it around. Let me silence my other screen there. There we go. Glad you could join us tonight. We're going to be going over a semi-classic, at least in the annals of Conan books from the Savage Sword days. I was a big fan of the run, big fan of the character in general. I'm a huge mark for Robert E. Howard, and even Elsbreg de Camp had his day and all that. But so hopefully everyone else on my esteemed colleagues, that is, got as much enjoyment out of this book as I had. So let's go ahead and do some introductions of said group of august gentlemen. Directly to my right over there, we see my northern friend. He a pixelated picture, Mr. Miracle. How you doing today?
I'm good. How are you today? Looking forward to this book you picked, sir. Yeah, had a lot of fun reading it. So let's get into it. And always glad to hang out with some people,
Indeed. Well, directly below me, but not to say beneath me, we have none other than the macho head himself, Kenneth, from Kenny of Comic Kid 84 fame. Kenneth, how are you doing this evening?
I'm doing good, man. Dude, it's always such a pleasure to get together with my buddies, Gino, man, Miracle, Roger, three of my favorite guys. We're about to do our thing, man. We're about to do our thing.
Oh. All right, great. Man, a few words, I like it. So,
I got more I can say. So,
he's been saving them.
However, no, I'm just kidding.
Four score.
Directly to my underneath right down there, we have none other than the elder statesman of our panel, and he's everyone's favorite ambassador of the comics community, Mr. Metarog. Roger, how you doing this fine evening?
Hey, greetings there, Genome, Miracle, and of course, Kenneth over here, my partner on the bottom square. It's great to be here once again on Grader's Notes. Man, I look forward to this fortnight so much because I get to be like Miracle said, like Kenny, like you, with my buddies here. Three guys who are just the best at what they do, and the chat that is the best in the business.
Yes.
That's my Kenny impression right there, by the way.
Truer words are never spoken.
I like it. Very
You have to give a little emphasis there, though. Yeah, there you go. So this evening, we're going to be dissecting this book right here, Savage Sword of Conan, number 101, magazine edition. So classic stuff from the very, very early 80s, and the artist might surprise you inside who this actually is and who it really isn't. So before we jump into that, Roger, can you do me a favor? Can you say hi to the chat for me? I have to go turn something off real fast. So if you wouldn't mind, I will be right back.
Will do. As again, we got the chat was in here early. Jackson Roy Kirk, like it says, by Mitra, I'm here. The swearings are starting already. We got Matt Woods in here. He just got done reading this issue. Great, because we're going to rely on you to vote on every different topic. Thank you for being here, Matt. And then, of course, we got my buddy Bill, Comic Mag Musing. How you doing? All the way from Arizona. Alex Big Blue is in here. Just dropped a video about a haul. I was in the middle of watching it 1 minute, and then the internet went off or something. We got 1-2 Comic Talk. Great. I think it's father and son duo. Perry Comics, always lurking, always everywhere. He is like omnipresent. Of course, the best pinch hitter in the business. Well, forget about pinch hitter. The best hitter, period. Unruly Cimmerian. I think you just made a full appearance on the Comic Core, if I was not mistaken. I gotta go back and catch that to be sure.
Yeah, on White Whale Comics channel.
That's White Whale. Okay. All right.
Last night.
I got to go back and check that. I was like half asleep, and I was like, that looks like, Cimmerian to me. But great to have you here, buddy. Super Russ, one of the most lovable guys on YouTube. Everybody, if you're not sub to Super Russ, what are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
The guy is just oozes enthusiasm for
great channel intros too.
Scott Neely is in here. Okay, all you need to review is a Human Fly comic. I have to keep my mouth shut because on the No Faces chat, I mentioned that I really dislike that, and now everybody's bombarding me with Human Fly stuff. But good to see you here, Scott. He just got a package too, Kenny. Opened it up. Thank you very much for doing that and shouting me out there, Scott. I appreciate it. And let's see who else we got. Steve Whiting, our biggest and baddest fan, bad in a good way. is in here. Great to see Steve in here as always. Some comic heads in here. James Gallegos, my buddy from New Mexico. Great to have you here. Tim, the comic collector. He was just doing a live stream a little while ago, which I didn't catch because I was eating dinner. And I think that I caught up.
Sounds good to me. Appreciate it. Sorry, I had to turn off my fish tank pump. I was hearing it on the mic's so sensitive it actually picks it up. That's why I had to go.
Blinky will be okay, I hope. For the
well, he'll be fine. Okay. Just a little bit of oxygen deprivation is good for the soul. But speaking of oxygen deprivation, I think Mr. Miracle might be frozen in the amber right now. So hopefully he'll be coming back soon.
Well, he's not aging.
What's that? No, yeah, that's true. He's eternal now. Yeah. Bit of a price to pay, but so maybe should we review the Fly next from Impact Comics? Then is that what we're saying? Is that
no. The human Fly from Marvel is what they're talking about. You get the Impact Fly. I'm fine with that. Absolutely fine.
All right.
Am I frozen?
You were frozen for a couple minutes there.
Yeah.
But you're back now. The amber has been broken.
That hit you and froze you instantaneously.
What was it? Sinjan or whatever that was in Jurassic Park has revamped you. They've stuck you in a Canadian body now.
There you go.
All right. So as you all know, we dissect the book, meet over 4 different criteria. One being the cover, the first thing everyone sees when they actually pick up the book. 2, the interior art, usually the second thing. We go by the story, and then we also do something sort of ephemeral called the concept. Basically, was it a cool idea? Was it something new? Or is it just the same old? And we grade this on a scale of 1 to 5, and we go with 0.5. So you can have like a 4.5, you can have a 4, but nothing above. So at the end of our 4-person little panel here of grading, we turn it over to you, the 5th grader, to put in those all-important votes and to see if you either agree with us, and hopefully you've read this book, or if you think we're just coming out of left field. So to do the honor tonight, as we usually do, we're going to start with the cover of this book, and let's go ahead and change up a little bit, and we're going to start with Kenny. Kenny, what do you think about the cover of this book, man, with a physical copy too, by the way?
Man, these colors pop. The colors really pop, which was the first thing that I appreciated about the cover. I will say I got mixed feelings on it, man, to be quite honest. There's Conan's looking pretty jacked. Nice musculature there. I like the overall premise of the cover with them like coming into the frame on the ship in the corner here and them coming upon this, underwater mistress, what have you. And also this flag up here, it's like a red and white striped flag. It almost made me think is that the American flag? Were they trying to do a little American homage? Made me think of that George Washington painting.
Mm-hmm.
But I still think they missed the mark on some of it. Mainly, I don't think that these guys like this guy bothers me for some reason. I don't like the pose of this guy. It looks a little rudimentary to me, if I'm being honest. It's tough to distinguish that that's Conan. He's got some really shiny bling bling on. I don't think of bling bling when I think of Conan, so that distracts me a little bit. But the main thing, if I was to critique this cover, is our damsel here. I almost feel like she doesn't even really fit on the image. Like I would have liked to seen her executed better. I know they do these separate from the inside art, but she really doesn't look like the one on the inside. And I would have liked a better pose. I would have liked different positioning. It could have been more dynamic, the underwater mistress. So that kind of bothered me on the potential factor, but great detail, like in the ocean with the squid tentacles coming in. Like the coloring is so top notch. I really like that. So I like quite a bit about it, but I can't help but want more. I think they could have, I think they could have done a little better with some of the layout of it, particularly our gal, like I said. But man, can't deny those colors. I went You know, it didn't completely knock my socks off. I went a little above average. I gave it a 3.
All right, a 3 it is. First grade coming in, just above serviceable, but hey, that's a long way above serviceable, right? 0.5. So
Absolutely.
you are now recorded in the annals of history, my friend. So 3 coming at you, so a little above average for the first score. Let's see if that trend continues with Mr. Metarog. Metarog, what did you think of this this cover here? Was this hot or was it not?
You know, I see where Kenny is coming from on the cover, and he makes some salient points for sure. But I think it's a little better than that, Kenny. I don't know if Gino, if you can put that up or not. If not, I can show it on my phone here. But you know, obviously there are some issues here. Okay, and that is that but you have to understand why the issue. Michael Golden did this cover, and it is, like Kenny was saying, the colors are spectacular. They're crisp. They're a little too crisp, really, for the situation inside. But again, in a cover, you want something that is striking, something that grabs your attention. And I think this does that to a T. And yeah, I do think that's sort of an homage to the Washington crossing the Delaware or something with the striped flag up there. The trade dress is fairly basic. There's nothing really too dynamic or too outstanding about it. But Conan is a huge figure, and it dominates the right side of the cover. Look at the sinew around the shoulder blade there. I mean, it's just coming through, very, very bright, very detailed, as Kenny did say. Yeah, it's too crowded. But again, he's sort of mimicking that Washington crossing the Delaware thing. And notice that the oar and that guy in the front, it's like it's either snapped off or it's totally missing the top part. It's just not there. Okay, so there are some issues with the actual construction of the cover, but that airbrush or that painted look, the colors, I disagree with Kenny on the siren. I thought that was pretty well done. Yeah, it's not exactly like the one inside, but artistic license is okay on a cover. It's just pretty close, I think, to what was happening inside. If it wasn't for the crowded scene here and that those little mistakes with the actual realistic mistakes with the oar, I would have given it a higher grade. But to me, it's a striking cover. It does portray what's happening inside. Conan maybe is a little too big, but again, obviously he's just exaggerating that to say, hey, compared to these guys, Conan was a man among boys. You know what I mean? So to me, this is a really good cover. I give it a 4.
A 4, all right. Excellent score there, Roger. Sorry, I'm sitting there.
No problem. Thank you for holding it up there for all that time.
So a 4 it is. Let me get Mr. Timer back up again. And I'll go ahead and take it from here. Dave, you might be frozen again.
Am I frozen?
Oh, just your picture is.
We can hear you loud and clear.
Yep. All right, so let's go ahead and give you my idea. I'm going to hold this up again there for everyone, I guess. But all right, so the cover, I'm a little torn because there's a lot in this cover I do like and a couple things I don't. I really like this trade dress a lot. It's like stark, it's brute, that reeks of Conan to me. He does not play the middle of the road. He's the alpha. So it's like I think that trade dress should dominate. And Kenny, that's a really good find. I never really thought about that with the sail there, this being like the Potomac crossing, friggin' famous Washington thing. That's a really good pickup there, man.
Thanks.
I bet it is kind of an homage. There's a lot of cool, really, really cool details like here. Like the little armor plating they have on your side. It's all asymmetrical. I mean, these are all like pirates and brigands, Not so much the ones in the story, but most of the people he hangs out with. So most of them are going to have ramshackle ships and all that. So I like details like that. Conan's anatomy here. Yeah, he's going to be way bigger than everybody. That's how he's always been written. He's just a massive, massive, huge human being, right? So I don't mind him dwarfing the people a little bit. And if you notice the pirates, once again, this cover is a little bit too, I think, diverged from the interior book because, like, here's showing like pirate, like it looks like a pirate gang because they're all different nationalities and they all look different. And inside, that's not pirates he's riding with, but so Yeah, he towers over them. I mean, but look at the anatomy here. Like, first thing you'll notice is his kind of flat pec, but that's how it looks. You know, it's not these big, giant, rounded, bulbous, you know, Rob Liefeld looking things. They're more flattened like that. So he's actually hitting a vacuum pose down there. It's amazing. His delt is shredded. I mean, look at this thing. Pretty incredible. Try and all that looks just right. So he's suitably massive. I do have a little problem with the perspective here on the sword. It looks a little too small in his hands. He usually holds a big broadsword or whatever, and it just, even if he is in this picture, it doesn't look like it. It looks like he's holding like a little gladius or something. So, you know, the first thing I thought of when I saw the Siren is like WrestleMania 2. What was her name that wrestled for the world title against Moolah in that one? The good looking one. But this,
I'm not sure.
This reminds me of a glow lady right here.
She's got a little fairy to her.
With this pose, she's hitting kind of masculine features on the face and all that. And the hair this one looks totally different than the Siren that's depicted inside, but still striking. I probably would have made her a little bit smaller, look like she's coming out of the mist or whatever. Keeps more with the story. And it's hard to tell the size of the ship. This looks like a rowboat they're in, but they're actually in a huge galleon or whatever inside the book. So, but I know there's a lot of cool stuff going on here. There's peril from below, there's peril in front, and there's Conan just steely eyed and checking. Wendy Richter, thank you, James. I appreciate that. I couldn't think of it. That's the kind of pose I think of when I see her hit. But I mean, other than that, I think this is a pretty good cover. And the colors do pop. There's something about it. It looks, I hate to say fake, but it looks kind of fake. You know what I mean? It looks like good art kind of blends into the background, and you can't really tell it usually separate too well from reality a lot of times. And this one obviously is just drawn on there, and that's the stupidest explanation you'll hear, but I can't really explain it. It looks kind of plasticky. Maybe that's the word I'm looking for. Kind of like a He-Man figure, So I kind of dinged it for that, and the fact that it's so far from the source material. It's in the same ballpark, but it's not even playing on the same team of what's going on inside. So I'm going to ding it a little bit and give it a 3.5. Technically, this is probably one of the weakest aspects of the book for me, which is surprising, but I'm just going to go 3.5 on that one. And now we got to move on to everyone's favorite grader, at least when he gets feisty. Dave, what did you think about the rag, the cover on this rag?
Well, I wasn't too happy with the cover particularly. When you're thinking about all those Savage Swords out there, like what you're used to as a Savage Sword cover. Savage Sword and Conan magazines put a lot of effort into their covers. I think of great artists like Frank Zetta, I think did a couple, Joe Giusco, Bob Larkin, Earl Norton. I mean, these guys did amazing fucking covers for this book. And then this guy, Michael Golden, I don't know what's going on here. We've got he does look like a He-Man action figure, like those squat, kind of too pudgy, too big kind of arm. Like, look at the size of Conan compared to the other guys. Yeah, Conan is supposed to be a big guy, but he's not the Incredible Hulk, right? And everybody is super shiny in this book. I know it was 1984. This is definitely an airbrush cover. There was lots of artists doing that kind of stuff. But yeah, way too shiny. Kenny hit on a point that the woman, the sea witch, as it were, is supposed to be beautiful, right? She's supposed to be a siren. She's supposed to draw people in. Not a very good job on this cover of creating a beautiful looking siren. She looks, I don't know. She looks like she was maybe dropped a toaster in the bathtub earlier. She's got a little jump of frizz going on in that hair. It's yeah, she's not that great, in my opinion. It's hard to see her even on this thing, but I've never liked the Savage Sword of Conan treatment. It looks like, they just I don't know, Times New Roman or whatever is just whatever happened, whatever they happen to have on the screen at the time. They just typed up. Let's just call it this for now, right? But nobody actually went back and did a logo for them. They just kind of was printed off like that. There are a few great points. Yeah, I like the little details in the sea, the boats in perspective. Conan is like way out of perspective. He's just too huge. I mean, look at the size of his arm compared to the guy next to him. It's just too much, man. Like, he looks huge. Like, inhuman, right? That was one of the best parts about reading Conan the Barbarian. Yes, Conan's big. Yes, he's the best swordsman there is. Yes, he always prevails. He's our hero, but he's a real guy. He could have really existed, just be this big barbarian guy, not the Incredible Hulk size guy. I mean, fuck, huge. This guy's rib cage alone is massive. Yeah, I'm not very impressed. You know, I know it shouldn't be like, oh, let's compare covers to all this stuff, but when you're talking about Conan covers, Savage Sword of Conan, and you know, especially those covers were fantastic all the way through. And when you get one like this, you can't help but compare it to the other ones and think it's a little mediocre, right? This is no Joe Jesco cover, and anatomy is not that great. He covers up a lot of this anatomy with that shiny shit. He does. There's lots of shiny on these guys to cover up some of that anatomical kind of errors, because it kind of blurs your vision of where exactly the lines are and stuff. The colors were great. They do have some cool stuff going on in here. Perspective is right. I don't like that the Sea Witch blends into that green, that full green. She really disappears. She's so hard to even see on the screen here. So I wasn't too happy with it and gave it a 2.
Boo.
And a 2 it is.
Boo to you, Miracle. Boo to you.
Russ,
Jusco Norum and Frazetta, really?
I feel I have to announce this one here from Russ. That's not like Liefeld drew it. There's no pouches to be found on this cover, my friend. So we can't see his feet, so who knows? But all right, so a 2 from Mr. Miracle. So now we're going to go ahead and turn this over to the chat, the all-important 5th grader. At your leisure, go ahead and throw your grade in there. Once again, 1 through 5 with a 0.5 scale. And let us know what you thought about this cover now, and we'll go ahead and talk about it just a little more in the meantime.
What were you saying, Roger? Something?
Yeah, you can't compare this to Frazetta and Jusco. Come on, that's not
Why
fair.
not?
That's not fair. This is good for what it is, you know, but it's not Frazetta. Listen, you compare anything to Frazetta, I'm going to give a lot of 1s.
Well, fair enough. I mean, if you're going to play with the big boys, bring your A game here. You know who has been drawing Conan. You guys are like, oh, look at all these crazy guys that have been drawing this before.
Yeah.
I got to do my best. So I'm figuring this guy put together his best, and his best looks like Saturday morning cartoons from the He-Man show.
It's purposefully overdone homage to a past event. The siren is scary because if you put a pretty woman there, it doesn't look like a threat. There's artistic license on a cover to reel you in, and in the process of the story, that was appropriate, but not so much on the cover.
Dude, how many times have they put a pretty woman on the cover just to sell the book? So don't.
Right.
Exactly. If they had said this is supposed to be a good-looking woman, he could have drawn a good-looking woman. I don't think he has the capability.
I mean, spoiler alert, he makes out with her in the book. They should have made her somewhere. Yeah. I don't know if Conan would have made out with her.
He's got screwed.
You're threat on the cover because you don't see that. You're not reading the story. You only get a non-verbal picture, and that is that she's a threat. If you put a lady on there, you think, oh, they're after a wench.
Well, if she's 18 feet tall, and obviously they've all got swords drawn, I'm going to draw the conclusion that even though she's pretty, she's dangerous.
Yeah, you can make a pretty woman scowl,
and be dangerous looking, like in that same pose, but really pretty. She would look menacing.
Another thing that's kind of strange for this cover is almost every Savage Sword of Conan cover is an action shot. He's hacking off a limb somewhere. He's got a group around him fighting him. Yeah. Sometimes the wench is actually attached to his leg, holding on for dear life, whatever. But so it wasn't really an action pose. It's more of a, like I said, homage cover and kind of a just posing for the camera, which is kind of odd for the series.
Let's see what the people who know what they're talking about say about this cover, okay? Unlike us, not just Miracle, us as a totality, okay?
All right, last chance saloon to get your scores in now. Yeah.
My favorite point made by Genome was like, I think that's right. I couldn't describe it quite like that, but they almost look like an action figure, plastic, or Miracle's very shiny. There is an aspect to that of like that really shiny plasticness. I could see this looking like a He-Man toy. I know what you mean.
It's like everybody was at the friggin' like oiled up before they got into the battle, like just all put on baby oil and get ready for fighting.
Yeah, it's like those Instagram filters that those girls put on.
Yeah.
The Barbie filter.
Yeah.
Hey, Nathan, all you have to do is put your score 1 through 5 with a 0.5, so you can do like a 4, 4.5, 5, whatever. Let us know what you think. 1 being awful and 5 being great. So it's your chance to be heard. So once again, I don't know if you saw it earlier, but this is the cover we're judging. And Savage Sword of Conan, number 101. And give me about another 10 seconds, and then we will go ahead and tally up. All right. Kenny, you want to hit the abacus or you want me to get it? I got mine already pulled up.
I never leave home without my abacus, bro.
Oh, you're the man.
All right, Kenny. Why break tradition? Let's keep going here. You ready, buddy?
Yes, sir.
All right. 3.5. Alex says he kind of likes it. Simeon, 3.5. 0.5 bump for superior tentacleage. That's such an unruly statement, isn't it? So 3.5, Kenny. I like He-Man, so 4. Matt Woods, 2. Jackson Roy Kirk, 1. Comic Mag Musings, 3.5. James Gallegos, 3. Russ, 3. Mark Knapp, 4. And Steve Whiting, 4. I'm sorry. Yep, I think. Oh, no. Hold on. Yep, that's it.
Oh, we got another one. We got, looks like 2 more. Did you get Dathan?
4.5. Yeah, I'm sorry. I forgot Dathan J. Knight. Yeah.
And then Matt Woods threw a 2 as well.
Didn't he vote above already?
Did he? Oh, did he?
Yeah, he voted above already. Yeah.
Okay, never mind. Minus
2.
1.
Okay.
Looks like around a 3-ish to me, but
Yeah, we are indeed at a 3.
Yeah.
3.
All right. So Kenny hit that one on the nose.
Yes, sir. That's right.
Yeah, just I don't know. It's weird. Now that you said that stupid George Washington watch, I can't get it out of my head. That's all I see now.
I didn't.
He sees the tricorn.
Like,
Miracle's Canadian. He doesn't see that.
I know what crossing the Delaware is.
I know but you're Canadian. It doesn't mean the impact. To somebody like me. My parents were immigrants.
That's right.
And the country took them into their bosom.
They were searching for syrup, so if that makes you feel better.
My family, part of my family was from the U.S., so you could just imagine my family going the other way.
North Miss Tessmucker. Yep. There we go. So, all right. So we have started as we usually do with a bit of artistic license, and instead of just going logically would be to the interior art, I'm going to go ahead and go right to the interior story now. Let's take a little break from the artwork, and let's see if Jan tales of your actually hold up to the lofty standards we all expect from the big Cimmerian story. So, Metarog, why don't you go ahead and lead us off today on what you thought about the story of this book?
Certainly, my pleasure. Okay, so Michael Fleischer does the story here. Now, this is one of those stories that I'm torn about because it has a lot of excitement to it in parts, but there are also parts where I think things drag on a little too much. All right, and some of it makes little sense to me, especially in the context of Conan. All right, now it's true. I'm not gonna chew off all the meat for you guys, right? But essentially, Conan is coming in there to a fortification that is being sieged. And the first problem I have, he's a loyal guy, and I understand that. That part comes out here in this story, and I think that was well done. That part where his dedication, his loyalty, no matter what the odds, no matter what the danger, he is a good friend, all right? So how he goes in there is a little foolish, though. Essentially taking on a whole army just to get in when, I'm sure he could have found another way, or at least tried, especially from the perspective of when he started. But that aside, he makes it inside. And then that's when the story gets a little bit incredulous to me. They're trying to essentially hold out and to see if the invaders will go away after a while, because it's been like 2 weeks, I think. And now the inside people are running out of food. So they figure the only way we're going to be able to survive is to annihilate the guys outside. Well, that's fine and dandy. They go out there. They're not really successful. And the son of the general, I believe it is killed, but they don't know that. And they hold him out as a hostage. This is the part that I have a problem with. Conan is way too savvy to just say, yeah, give him whatever you want, and no proof of life. In fact, they even go to the extreme and put it on the boat for them, still not knowing if this guy is alive or even discussing the details of the exchange. I think there's no way Conan would have in any way, shape, or form been okay with that. All right. And then we get a prolonged chase on the seas. This is kind of different because, we're used to kind of Conan being on land and, sword and sorcery. He's more like a buccaneer here toward the middle and the end of the story. And then you got a long chase scene, and then we got to get cheated because, this is a retribution, essentially, chase at this point because they got the stuff and the guy was dead, the son. Now they're chasing him into this mist, and we never see what happens to them, although we know that what happens to them eventually. But we were cheated of the moment of glory. And then, we get the whole thing with the monsters and the siren, and eventually everybody is destroyed except Conan, and a few guys that I think survive at the end there. So the story is good as far as the concept of it. Its execution, I think, had a lot of missteps. I like the fact that they took Conan to the sea and they put him in the situation where he actually was vulnerable for a good amount of time. But I think there's too many leaps in logic and too many things that is just not in his character here for me to give it a higher grade. Good story, not great. 3.
All right, 3 it is, coming in almost just above serviceable again. So close, but we haven't hit that magic number yet. Let's see, 3. All right, thank you, sir, for that. Oh, Dave's getting warmed up over there. Well, we'll be to you there shortly, my friend. I'll go ahead and take one now.
I see the drool coming down.
Oh yeah, he is salivating. He's Pavlovian dog in this thing. So, the story is interesting. Okay, one of the things I did have a problem with was Conan talked a little too much in this, and he's not a man of many words. In any of the books I've read, I mean, he does speak, and when he speaks, he's usually normally intelligent, but he talks a lot and monologues quite a bit in this book, and that's kind of surprising because even in the comics, he wasn't always written that way. But it is what it is, and it wasn't too distracting, but it was definitely a little out of character for him. The whole story itself wasn't too bad. I mean, it's a pretty good way of lining up, the big chase, getting people out of their element and to run into the sea witch, So, I mean, that was good as far as comic book goes. It wasn't too bad. I mean, it wasn't as good as a Howard story, but, how often are they in the comics? So, it was good, simple, to the point, and it did highlight a little bit of Conan's savviness in a way, because he definitely was the smartest person in the room and all of these things, mostly because he wanders. He's joined brigands like these guys before in the past and ruled them. So he kind of knows how they think. And yes, he should have been a little more forceful with the general. There's a great moment in this book, and it's going to show a little bit of the artwork, but where is it at here? When he does such a Conan thing. And it's when they have the guy's son hostage. Mm-hmm. And the guy's making demands, and Conan just charges over there and freaking slams him by the throat to the ground, and he's just cursing the guy, even though the guy's threatening to kill the kid. That's Conan right there. He's not playing around with this. And yeah, he is. The general's being kind of weak about it, not demanding proof of life. He's giving up possibly the survival of his entire settlement there just because of his son. So Conan should be a little more forceful about it, but he played a very backseat role to the general in this, I guess, out of loyalty. He's like, this is your show. I'm just here for the ride, So, and be it what it may, they go out to sea and they run afoul of the sea witch. It does take away the retribution story, but then it turns into a fight for survival. And this is the kind of stories that Conan excels at. And I think once they actually hit the ship, it was really good. It was kind of long, a little bit long in parts, but half the book is them basically fighting monsters off of the ship. It's really cool. You got sirens, you got tentacle monsters, you got gigantic serpent beasts coming out of the water, just the whole myriad of Hyborian age monsters, to attack this poor ship, And so, it's a fight for survival, and there's no loot to be had here. There's no lusty wenches. There's no wine for this reward. It's just survival. So I kind of like that idea of a story. Of course, our favorite Cimmerian walks out as last man standing, as he is wont to do. And I know, it rolled good. It did what it needed to do. It got him from point A to point B, told a completely circular story. It got right back to basically he starts out right where he always starts out, with no money and no better off than he was before. But I think it told it fairly well. Didn't do anything too exceptional. But most of the characters are fairly memorable. The big ones, the general's memorable a little bit, and of course Conan, but most of the other ones are just tertiary. So I give it a 3.5. It just ambled along nicely, and I can't find anything wrong with this story other than it just being a little bit dull in parts, and monologuing Conan doesn't work for me, and he's a strong silent type. So I'm gonna go ahead and give it 3.5. It was close. It was getting close to 4 area, but it's kind of generic for that. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and give it a 3.5.
I see your point.
Yeah.
That's a good point there, Simeon. Freaking Simeon. Yes, he is Angela Lansbury.
Monsters, yep.
God, I still hear that stupid Murder She Wrote freaking jingle in my head from my grandmother watching it.
I know.
All right. Well, Dave, since you were prepared, licking your chops to get at this, I believe it's time to set you free, my friend. So what did you think about the story found within?
I thought it was a good story. I mean, to me, like when Conan comes upon like the castle being sieged, and he's like, "Oh, my buddy needs help." He's not making plans about it. He's not trying to, maybe I'll flank. Maybe if I dig a tunnel or anything like that. No way, barbarian style. Let's go, right through the center of them, hacking away. Perfect Conan move. This is his jam. He's like, screw this shit. I'm either going to get in there or I'm going to be dead, right? But if I'm dead, there's going to be a whole wake of bodies behind me. Makes it in. I agree, if it was Conan who was in charge of that building and Buddy had to tied up his son, I think those pirates would still be dead meat, right? However, this guy was, begging Conan not to do it. Conan is still grabbing this guy, like putting his son at risk and cussing him out, calling him a pussy, basically, in this whole thing. Like, you're just, what am I supposed to do with my son? He's like, fine, whatever, give up your gold. I'm not giving any of my gold, right? And then, of course, he's like happy to join in on the revenge, right? Oh, revenge? Yeah, that's me. He's on the ship. It's basically like the ship chase, car chase. It was, it lacked, right? Like, I mean, you're at sea chasing someone down. It's like, oh, it's going to take us 3 or 4 hours to overtake them. You're just like, 3 or 4 hours, right? They're on boats, right? We're used to cars like chasing people down. It's going to take 3 or 4 hours to overtake them. What? We don't even have that much gas. Like, so they're chasing them in the boats. The tables turn and they realize, oh, we've been coming after these guys, but that's not going to be the fight. Some bad shit happens. It's Hyboria, man, and it's Conan. Just like Unruly said, man, the monsters are coming, right? There's monsters, sorcerers, witches, sea monsters, changelings, you name it. It's in Hyboria. That's their kind of thing, None of this is going to sweat Conan too much. After kind of the leader gets killed, yeah, Conan is a leader, right? He's a man of few words, but he will take charge, right? Like, you guys come here and we have to do this, and get his men motivated to fight back for their lives and stuff like that, right? Like, there's lots of instances where Conan talks quite a bit, especially in the books, right? He talks quite a bit in Howard's books compared to, like, silent Conan to me is Arnold Schwarzenegger movie Conan, right? That's if you read the books, Conan is a leader. He's definitely, I mean, I guess a lot of the books you're also reading his thoughts and and that kind of stuff. But where was I? Tables turned. Conan takes the lead, motivates his guys. Couple things that kind of when everybody else is getting mind fucked, and these guys are getting dragged down to the water. Even Conan's getting dragged down to the water. Conan's got enough mental fortitude to get himself out of the situation, save one more person. Like, I thought it was well written. The story in Savage Swords I think they're longer than a normal comic book, aren't they? Have more pages to them. Yeah. So they do have to have a little more filler in there and stuff. I thought the story, like the way it flowed, the way it kind of made sense. There was nothing that was way too far fetched about it. Like, I thought Conan acted the way Conan should have acted. Right? He knows if he's on that boat and those guys don't fight back, his chances of survival go down as well. Right? So he's rallying his guys. I don't know. I like the story. Actually, the story was probably my favorite part of this book. And I believe Larry Hama had something to do with the story too, right? Who, if you know Larry Hama, is from G.I. Joe writer. I wouldn't have any kind of bias there at all. But the story was my favorite part of this thing, man. I thought the story flowed well. Yeah, there was a couple little low parts, but you need those low parts in your writing in order for the high parts to seem really high, right? So it was very much, all this stuff's happening. Okay, we'll take, all this stuff happens. Okay, everybody take a rest. All this stuff happens, right? So there was a very up, down, up, down, up, down, all the way to a final conclusion. So you kind of got the sense, like, and that was good, like, for long periods of time, that these guys were bored, just scared on the ship, not being able to move anywhere, not be able to go anywhere, surrounded, and they're just waiting for the attack to come, right? And when it comes, that's when the big high point comes. Everybody fights. They beat off the attack, maybe lose a few guys. Everything calms back down, and again, there's just this eerie calm. They're all scared, huddled together on the ship, waiting for the next attack to happen, right? And trying to figure a way out of this mess. So I thought the story went well. I thought the pacing of the story was good in that aspect, that it really kind of brought the reader into that sense of nothing happening, interspaced by moments of sheer terror and fucking battle, right? And then nothing happening. And I suppose, so to me, I thought it rung true. I liked the story the best, and I gave it a 4.5. I thought it was one of the best stories that we've ever read on Greater Snow.
It's a pretty damn good one.
There, Dave?
Say what?
You sure you're awake?
I'm awake.
Yeah, Dave, you make a great point too. A lot of people who've never read the books don't realize that every group that Conan's ever joined in the books, he just takes over. He leads every one of them. He usually starts at the bottom, and then he either kills people to get ahead, or they just naturally elect him as leader, and he becomes a king at the end of everything, of the whole series. So it's a good point there. So, Kenneth, you've been waiting over there patiently and stolidly. So let us know what you thought about the story writ within.
Okay, yes, I've been enjoying hearing the reviews of my compadres. This story, I dug it, man. I dug it. The thing I like about, I've read, I don't think I'm as well versed in Conan as you guys, but a lot of the Conan stuff I read seems to be real, like, episodic in nature, so I like that this is like a really self-contained episode, self-contained adventure, like, and to really drive the point home, it's like the first panel is Conan, solo rolling up on this little castle and group, like, oh, let me go check out these guys, let me see what's going on. And then the last page, or the last panel, is Conan all by himself. Everyone's dead, and he's taking off in a boat, like, okay, off to the next place. So, like, between those two goalposts, you just got this one self-contained adventure. Nothing from a previous story brought itself in, and, nothing's really going to take itself into the next story, I would imagine. I think it's going to be off to the next adventure. And I dig that, actually. When one done well. I don't think it cheapens the story. I think it's cool to tell a self-contained adventure like that, especially with a guy like Conan. So yeah, I like that I got one full story start to finish. I think in the beginning it was like a little confusing, I guess, on the invaders, but I see what was going down. When we went into to meet his buddy, the king, I would have, considering there was some lulls in this, I would have benefited from them establishing their relationship a little more on the front end. Like, I don't know if you guys know who this general guy is or what, or if he's a really commonly known Conan character. I doubt, because he died. How do you know each other so well? Why are you willing to, fight to the death with this guy? What's the deal? So I think this book would have benefited from 2 or 3 pages of a flashback vignette, or at least the retelling of something that created this bond. I think that would have put more stakes in it, because right off the bat, this guy is acting in, Conan is definitely the alpha dog among all these dudes, both sides of the coin. And this guy he's a bit of a pushover. He's letting this invading thing just like run your shit, man. Give me all your jewels. I got your kid. Don't worry, you don't need to see him. Like you guys are pointing out, like, no proof of life, like Roger said. And he just kind of gets bullied. And you can see Conan didn't want to interject himself into the situation, just like, hey, this is your show, man. You need muscle. When it's time to crack skulls, wake me up when it's time to crack skulls. He didn't want to get into the political aspect of it. But, I didn't sympathize for this guy because I didn't really respect his behavior. And I think maybe I would have sided with the guy more if I read a story of why does Conan respect him enough to show up and help him out. I could have used that. I thought the rivaling guys were cool. They wrote him funny, like this guy, the leader of the opposing crew. They always write him with this little giggle, this little ha 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 in a lot of his dialogue, and it added character to him. That he's got like this. Here it is. Like when he's in the castle, like just giving his terms, because now he has the trump card of the guy's son. There's a little parentheses, ha in his dialogue, and they do that a lot for him. Mm-hmm. So I like that. That kind of colored him with some personality, maybe made him a little more hateable, like, oh, this giggling asshole. I like the switch, the bait and switch of that. They propped up the dead body and as a hostage. I thought that was clever. And then we get into the siren battle. I thought that was pretty cool. Invading monsters, the beautiful siren, some boobage, dude. Conan still, even though they're invaded, even when invaded by monsters, Conan's still gonna get some action. He's still gonna lock some lips, dude. Even if it's a monster. So Conan got traction.
He's the Jim Kirk of the Hyperion age,
Yeah, man. So I thought the adventure was cool. The invading monsters, good time. Even though there was maybe a lulling page here or there, I was interested the whole time. I thought it moved pretty quickly. Not a lot of exposition and stuff like that. It just kept moving. I dug the story. Self-contained awesomeness, So, nothing that totally blew me away. Like a pretty straightforward adventure story. So even though I liked it and respected it, it served the book well. Comparing it to, if 5 is Watchmen, I'm not going to give this a 4.5 like Miracle's crazy ass. I would say it's more appropriate to say it's like a 3.5. So that's what I'm going to land with, 3.5.
Oh, what the
shots fired.
Shots fired.
Watchmen is a better story than this one. You're looking at the story as a whole, and you're entertained by it. And I did like it quite a bit, and I thought it flowed quite well. Yes, it's not ever going to be classic, but I still think it was one of the better stories we've done. It flowed well. I like the pacing of it. I like the back and forth, the calmness, the big battle, the calmness. So
I can respect that.
That's good. Conan's very episodic. He was built for episodic stuff. So
yeah, that's true. That's true.
All right, let's go ahead and turn this over to the most important grader of this evening's book. What say you, chat? I know we have one grade in already of 3. But what say you? Give us your scores now. What do you think about the interior story of this book? I mean, hopefully you've read it, but if not, just for hearing what we were talking about, did it fit your fancy, or was this just like those casks of wine those pirates probably would have tossed over the side if they didn't like it? So give us your scores now. We will tabulate shortly. Yeah, it was really cool, man. I don't know. I like revisiting this one. I remember reading this. This is actually one of the few books I remember reading back when I was younger. You know, I read this back in the late 80s, whatever. I still remembered the story when I picked it up. So that does speak well of it.
Yeah, right. Like it definitely stood out as one of the better Conan Savage Sword stories I've read, for sure.
I like it that, like, it seems like to me that a lot of this group of people going after pirates are kind of inexperienced in the world. Maybe they've been isolated their whole life in their little city area. So Conan's the only one that kind of smells something fishy going on. He's like, okay, well, there's a problem with this fog. There's a problem with the seaweed. All of a sudden, there's a beautiful voice singing. He's like, there's something wrong here, guys. Quit being horn dogs and think for a moment, you know?
Yeah, he's just like, man, I've been through this like 100 times.
No. Yeah. And the funny thing is, like in the stories, Conan's terrified of supernatural stuff. He's a primitive barbarian.
He hates
he's like, but he's just practical. It's like I can either wither and die or try to fight through this. That's how I.
And that's my point. That's my point. That to me, you know, Conan is he's too clever to just. I mean, I know what Dave is saying. He's a barbarian, goes in there, but let me tell you, if you read, you know, his stories, he doesn't. If he's emotional, okay, I get it. But he was here stone cold sober and seeing it from above. He's also a pretty good strategist. And just to go in there, it seemed out of character. And definitely the proof of life thing, he would have, I don't care what the general would have said. He would have said, stupid dude, at least see if the guy's alive. Have him say a word or something.
Yeah.
Now, Conan's loyal, but I almost think if this was the book, he would have just killed the general and taken over the city and saved them. I think that sounds like something he would do. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
totally. That would have made more sense to me. That would have made perfect sense.
The general was his buddy. He doesn't do that to his friends, right? Like, he is loyal to his buddy.
He's let guys go in stories that have tried to kill him because like he owed him money or something before. So he has a rigid code he sticks to. But yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if he took the guy's head and just took over the city himself.
Yeah, it could be something.
Gino, the boy who had 7, Matt, in the chat said, you know, he gave the grade 1 book, but he said Genome's stash is a 10.0.
Ooh. There's actually a story behind this thing too, but it was actually have to do with you, Kenny. I was going to cut a promo on you when you're getting close to 1,000 subs.
Oh yeah, you got Russ said you need to dye it blonde.
I get some bleach. I was going to dye it all up, and I need a red bandana and all that. I was going to freaking Hulk at you, but I'm not really the Hulk. I'm more like a Jake the Snake kind of freaking quiet and menacing, and I don't like people that much.
And this is a good time for the segue that Kenny, the man to my left here, right, that way, is now a 4-digit member of YouTube, and is waiting on his community tab.
I know. Where is it?
It'll be here any day. And Mr. Miracle up here, I think, is about maybe a month away, if that.
Yeah.
So,
well done, boyos.
I got 924.
Genome there.
Wow.
Even if we gotta drag him along, we'll get him there somehow.
I can see him with like a wheelbarrow behind me or the wagon. I'm close. I'm only like 585 away, so that'll be a week or two. I got this. All right, so I think it's time we start tabulating. If you are guys ready,
Tabulation.
Here we go. There we go. Ready? 3. 3.5. 3.5. 3. I'm not going to talk about Genome Stash. 3. 4. 3. That's it.
what? Where's everyone's grades?
Another 3 for Cimmerian. Yeah.
Right. That's going to give it a 3 as well.
3's down the line.
All right.
I'm staying a song here. All right, so just above average or just above serviceable for the chat in both categories so far. So let's see if the trend continues. Logically speaking, we'll go to the interior art next. So I'll go ahead and lead off this little escapade. And first off, who does everyone think did the interiors of this book?
Buscema, right?
Not yet. Which one?
John.
Okay. Some people might say Sal, whatever, and all that, but yeah. So
I didn't look it up. I hope that's who it is. I did not look it up.
Yeah, it's Big John.
Oh, okay.
I thought you were.
I know. I was like, wait a minute.
I was like, oh man.
It has kind of an all-star. If you look at, look at this. Of course, Jim Shooter's editor in chief. Larry Hama is a freaking editor here, man. So they had a pretty good team on this book here.
Yeah.
Interior art. Let me just say, this is freaking fabulous. It's black and white. So the one maybe ding you could get, there's 2 dings in this book, I think, that I can hit it with, and everything else is great. It has something of an unfinished look that sometimes the colors and heavier inks will help fill that in. And I wasn't crazy about the close-up face shots. They had kind of a primate looking, like kind of Planet of the Apes look to them. A lot of them did. The faraway shots were fine, but I wasn't crazy about that up close. Even Conan had some funny kind of looks to him. But man, this art is lush. It's freaking beautiful. Conan's drawn much better scale in this. He's not the freaking gigantor like he is on the cover. But I mean, just look at him just lounging there. That's a Conan pose right there. He's listening to this bullshit this freaking pirate's putting out there, and he's pissed, but he's just glowering silently, Lush freaking art all throughout this book, man. I can't say enough how much I like it. A lot of people will ding it probably because it's black and white. I think it lends itself well to the book being black and white. The only thing bad about it is you don't see all the blood that you typically see, like splashed about in a Conan book. But whatever, who cares? We've all seen fake blood before, right? Just absolutely gorgeous. Let me get a picture of the good picture of the siren here. Or just look at the friggin' ship graveyard, man. I mean, look at that. It's friggin' gorgeous. This book just drips with details. And come on, where is the siren? It's gonna be hard to find her all of a sudden. There she is. But I mean, that's what she's supposed to look like. And that's how you tempt. Sirens are all about tempting people, not just with their song, but with they're supposed to be beautiful nymphs, right? So yeah, she's gorgeous. It's cool. Like her tresses are all like seaweedish looking, if that's a word now. But like he doesn't spare details. Like the boat's mired, it's got seaweed all over it. That's why they're stuck. He doesn't skip out on that on panels. I mean, I could go on all day how much I like this. Just soft tones that he uses for shading and all that. Just sets it off. Lots of big action scenes in this. Lots of characters, fighting it all at once. There's not really any problems with perspective in this at all. He keeps it all contained very well. There's a really cool, I don't know why I like this panel so much, where he's transforming. His very first inkling that this guy's not human. He has his like 2 little suckers on his hands right before he changes. So cool, man. I can't say enough how much I love the art in here. And I just won't sugarcoat anymore. I'm torn between a 5 or 4.5. Just because I dinged it on a few things inside, I'm probably going to give it a 4.5. I can't just give it a perfect score because I don't care for the close-ups too much as far as the faces go. And there are a few panels in there that look a little bit unfinished. Like you see he just scratched a little bit for the background or whatever for shadowing. So it's like, it's stylistic, but it's like a little more of a clean finished look. So I'm going to give it a 4.5. Very close to a 5, though, for me.
Wow.
Indeed.
Wow.
So, Mr. Miracle, was I shooting for the moon there, or how close do you think I actually was to my scoring perfection?
I gotta agree with you, man. I mean, it's John Buscema, man. He's always on point. I mean, by this time, Buscema was so practiced. The panels are fantastic. I mean, how else do you get going in a comic book? Only John Buscema can actually draw nothing. Like he's drawing these guys being bored, and the drawings look like, yeah, right. Like you get that from the drawing. Like that's how good of an artist this guy is. Like, how do you draw? Like, okay, so these guys get out into the middle of this fog bank and do nothing. And I'm sure Buscema was like, right, no, I got to draw these guys with zero action, being bored, blah, blah, blah. But he does such a good job, even of that, conveying that kind of feeling through it. And then the action scenes, he's all over it. I mean, yeah, I can't fault him on anatomy. There's obviously a couple things here and there that a little bit kind of seem too shadowy because he did ink it himself. A lot of artists like to ink their own stuff. That way the inker doesn't change their illustrations too much. But there's some really dark inky stuff here. I know it's black and white, but it does kind of obscure some of his great illustrations at certain points. But pretty not very much you can fault on this stuff. You can tell Buscema loved drawing Conan. I mean, he puts a lot of effort, a lot of details, everything. Like you go when you're looking at the ship, there's every plank, every line between each plank and the upright beams, and everything looks like wood. Like he's drawn it like wood, and like everything's in the background. Background's like the fog bank rolling in looks like a huge fog bank rolling in. I mean, it's John Buscema, man. You can't say bad things about John Buscema. I think lightning would probably come out of the clouds and strike you dead if you lied and said something poor about John Buscema's art. Especially when it comes to Conan. He loved Conan. You can tell he loved this book. Man, look at these like big splash pages, which I'm, can't really see all that great on my tablet here. But this is like a big splash page of the ship graveyard. There's even big splash pages of just the guys on the deck. You know what I mean? Or just the guy, does much prettier women and stuff in here. So I can't fault John's stuff. The art in this thing will keep you turning pages, even through the boring parts, because you're just like, man, how does John make boring seem good, like as a good illustration? Anyway, 4.5 for me. I give him the not quite 5 because of the inking was a little blacked out in too many spots for me, but I gave him a full 4.5 for this one.
All right, excellent grade, my friend. I could concur with you on that one. So 4.5. Yeah, just a few little nitpicks, man, to keep it from eternal glory. But so let's see if the high scores carry on. Kenneth, my friend, what did you think about Yon Inks That Lied Within?
By Crom. The first Crom of the night. I'm surprised we haven't got a by Crom yet.
Crom.
There it is. Yeah. How do you measure things in the Hyborian Age? With a bicrometer. Hey. I'll be here all night, folks.
Hey-o.
This was fun, man. I'm a big old John Buscema mark all day long. But this was interesting because this isn't, and I don't think I've read any Buscema Savage Sword stuff. So this was like a treat for me. And more so because this is different than the Buscema I'm used to. You obviously know it's him when you see the layouts and the anatomy and the poses, which I'm going to get into a little bit, but just the initial aesthetic of it almost feels like I'm looking at like a John Buscema sketchbook because it's not as polished as like the stuff that I know and love Buscema for. A lot of the Marvel superhero stuff. Like here's my Buscema artist edition with the original page scans, brother. And obviously I know you would draw and ink stuff differently when you know color's gonna get laid onto it. I imagine you do cleaner outlines and stuff in anticipation of the color. So I imagine, I would expect them to like texture it more, but it's way looser than the Buscema that I'm so familiar with. And I thought that was pretty cool. I felt like I was in Buscema's like sketchbook with the overall style, but he's still delivering, baby. You made a great point. What Miracle's point about like how he makes boring seem exciting. I've always been he does it in everything that you read from Buscema. I like almost play a game with myself when I'm reading. That didn't sound right, but when I'm reading Buscema stuff, I'm paying attention to the characters in the background because the guys that like a lot of artists would just draw like sitting in a static pose, like just background characters. He always has them posted up cool. Like Like I like this page when you have the pirate invader making his demands. First, how cool is he? Just nonchalantly with his leg up, dude. I think he might be eating an apple. Yeah, he's eating an apple, posted up. I mean, that's his creativity flowing right there. Conan like leaning on the wall like a badass. Like he could very well have just been standing there, leaning on the wall. You got the guy taking notes right here. There's so many like instances of these background characters that are just in like cool, like human poses. Like when the music comes in, like just the way that dude's sitting with his hands crossed and the other guy's chilling, leaning back. Like, I don't know. I love that. It feels lifelike. You know what I mean? And I totally dig that. He draws females like no other. The cover artist could have took notes, brother. That's how you draw a siren right there. Especially when he has room to work, like a big page like that, or a big chunk of the page. Fantastic. That's Buscema doing his thing. And then I have to touch on the ships at sea pages. Fantastic, dude. I sat and when I was reading this, I sat and just like stared at this panel for a while. That top panel of the ship rolling into the fog was like so cool. Very cinematic. Cross-hatching for days on a lot of the artwork, which gave it like a cool. Again, that's why I don't know. I have like a sketchbook vibe from it. Like a lot of stuff that I think would have normally been done with like inks and kind of like gradient shading. He just went to town with like the line cross-hatching. I know there's another page of like a further back shot of the ships, like before they got all trashed, just like some majestic shit, man. So, you know, those pages were great. I love the cinematic view of like the ships at sea. I think he did a great job with it. Look at the facial expression on this guy. Yelling. Top notch, man. Top notch. Just really, really impressive. I really liked it. Again, I think, you know, not as polished as his other work. I do think he is a master of anatomy, but there were some panels that I think like weren't quite as buttery smooth as he usually does. You know, I don't know what the pay rate is on a book like this. I don't know if he like had to go through it quicker than he did when he's on like, you know, the main Marvel titles and stuff. So I don't know if it's like a time thing, but I do feel like he maybe didn't spend as much time on this book as he did some of the other stuff. I don't know, but I absolutely loved it, man. I don't think I'm going to give it a 4.5, but I am going to give it a 4. I'm going to give it a 4. Great stuff. The boss, Buscema, does it again.
All right, 4 it is.
Nice.
So interesting. And I will point out, too, that I do kind of agree with Metarog. Like, the cover, that's like her true visage, right? That's what she really looks like. It's just, she puts the spell of glamour on you to make her think she's beautiful. But I definitely would have reversed it. I would have made her start out beautiful on the cover, and when they first see her, and then they could see how ugly she really was in life, just to sell the book, you know, and make, oh, there's a hot wench in there. Maybe I'll buy that, you know.
Yeah, yeah, you would think so.
So I definitely see what you're talking about, Raj. So speaking of your dissertation, let us hear what you thought about the pencils found within.
Well, you guys didn't leave a lot of meat on the bone on this one. I think you guys pretty much hit it on the nose. Can't complain too much here. Gino, if you don't mind showing a few pages for me.
Sure.
Let's go right to the splash page, man. I mean, this thing is brilliant. Look at the perspective here. He's on a horseback on this outcropping, looking down upon the siege. He's got a perfect angle. He can see the characters. He can see what the situation is. I mean, Buscema, absolutely majestic looking horse and rider here of Conan. He hunched over the horse so he can look down, you know, and look at the mountainscape in the background. That is just gorgeous stuff right there. And if we skip to page 11. I really like this panel where they're spilling out of the fort there. And you can see them, they're almost like right on top of each other. They're just so anxious. And Buscema does a great job of, grouping them closely, but you can see that they were just gangbusters coming out of there. That the way that he could convey the motion and the action and the urgency here is just brilliant stuff. Brilliant stuff. And then let's go to page 13. I'm just highlighting a few things. I'm not really adding. You guys really did it all here. Look at the top left there. You see the facial expression there, of the concern, the high brow, the almost oval cranium, the general, typical general kind of, pondering there. Really, really good stuff. Again, this is where Miracle and I agree. The inking here is a little heavy-handed. Rudy Nebres did the inking, and he can get a little heavy. He did a lot of black and white work, but a lot of his were in the monster and horror kind of genre, and that kind of lends itself to a little more heavier inking. And I think he overdid it on a few panels. They were just not too crisp and clear. I really do like, if you go to 13 right at the bottom there, where the to the right there, that guy there, look how he looks like, really, again, Hyborian age. He's been there for weeks. He hasn't taken a bath. He looks like he's sunburned. Really good job of conveying like the weakness, but in a sense, he just wants to get this over with, And then let's skip way ahead here, because I'm sure I'm missing. I'm going to hit my point here, where I believe it's page professional here, people, professional. Here we go, 29, where we have the graveyard. I think Kenny pointed this out. You can tell that the threat here is alpha level, because nobody has been able to get out of this situation. You can tell that this has been going on for decades and decades and decades. Look at the masts are up, so these are not shipwrecks. Okay, something else is going on here. Okay, and this conveys the type of threat that this is. It's a threat that comes from below, but does not destroy the ships, only the personnel inside. And look at, that's a good one right there. That kind of farscape, that view where you see the little thing way down there, good perspective. And then, of course, we have the beautiful lady, which you guys have said, but I do want to show in 32, for example, how he makes the hair almost seaweed-like. So even though she has the illusion of a beautiful woman, he still gives a hint that there is danger, that there is mystery, that there is. Notice how similar it is to the seaweed or the lichen that's on the ship sides there. Very well done, great detail. Again, the only problems I have with this are the heavy inking, the facial, like right there, that face right there, it looks a little bit too dark and odd and clownish like. And I think what Genome was saying, everybody has every once in a while reverts to like a Cro-Magnon look here and there. It was inconsistent, but it's a minor detail. But as far as storytelling elements, the detail of the art, the effectiveness of the art, and just the amazing the way that he can put little different nuances in the art that tell you that the story is dangerous, but it's a certain type of danger. High mark for that. I almost went 4.5 with this Genome and Miracle, but like Kenny, a few things just bothered me a little too much with the faces and the darkness, which was the cross hatching was great, but some of it was muddled because of the inking. So Buscema would get a 5, but because of the inking, I give it a 4.
All right, a 4 it is. Let's see here.
4 is definitely respectable.
Yep. So very high marks all throughout. Nothing lower than a 4. So no surprise there.
What do you do?
How could you not like this book? The only thing I see people dinging it for, I don't want to see a black and white book. Well,
Grow up.
Grow up. You
He's
really,
frozen with rage at anyone that grades is less than a 4 or 5.
you really don't notice.
Particular genre is perfect for black and white.
Yeah.
It's that visceral look to it just was perfect.
Yeah, you really don't notice it's a black and white book as you're reading it.
You know.
Like I said, the only thing, even in my mind, I'm thinking about, I'm missing is the blood because you're seeing like the big splashes of blood everywhere. But that's minor thing. So
yeah,
I'm reading a black and white comic. I feel like I'm reading like those like outlaw comics. You know, like this is mainstream, brother.
Underground.
Dark Horse or what? Yeah.
Yeah, I had to get an underground connection to get this too. This is the real deal.
So speaking of black and white, we need black and white answers from the chat. I need your honest to goodness grades put down in there right now so we can tabulate them momentarily. Yeah, just fabulous art within, man. I love it, man. I read so many books. I don't care if the whole series is in black and white, but as long as it looks like that, you know.
You know what was one critique that I had in mind that I didn't say, and I guess if it was color, I wouldn't have had this issue of. There were moments in the battle when I couldn't really distinguish the invaders from the defenders.
Right.
That was, and I'm like, I wish they maybe had like a distinctive like helmet with like a certain thing on it. Like maybe you could have made an artistic choice that it's like these are the invaders, these are the, and he kind of made them all look the same.
Yeah.
Yeah. That like that first battle, that battle.
But I think in battle that was common. People would get mixed up. So that's the way I looked at it. You know, these were not uniforms, you know, organized invaders. These were guys that wanted to get in there because they wanted the booty. You know?
All barbarians.
Yeah.
Right?
It's funny. We all mentioned this panel too. My gosh, he looks good just sitting there, just kicked up. He looks so natural right there. It's ridiculous.
It's amazing how natural.
Yeah.
Now, and do you think he's? I don't get the sense that Buscema is like a heavy photo reference guy. Or is he? Is he getting all those poses from photo?
I don't think so.
I think he's naturally doing it, that's what's so amazing about him, dude. Like,
no, certainly not at this point in his career because he'd been drawing now. That's at this point for 25 years or so.
Oh yeah. He's quite experienced by this point.
Yeah, probably it's the other way around. People were referencing him.
Yeah, because it's so consistent and it's so many little minutia poses. I'm like, there's no way he's chasing down all these photos. He just.
It's like, even like big action pieces like this, everyone has a weapon in their hand. He didn't cheap out and not show their arm or whatever. Like they all have a buckler, they all have a weapon. Even these background shaded characters is still a knife in the air. It's like
he's definitely not lazy.
Nope.
No, I was not in the Hyborian age, Jackson Warford. I'm not that.
And remember, like in our last book, there was an advertisement to go to school and learn from him. So obviously he's not just drawing all the time comic books, he's drawing all the time in his own time as well, like not being published stuff as well. Like that's so dedicated an artist John Buscema is.
Yeah.
By the way, what did you guys think about the art in the back? It wasn't John's, but
the Skull Spider one was pretty good.
Yeah,
that's cool.
And what about the Solomon King on the back cover?
Well, we'll get.
Yeah, that one wasn't the best.
No, make a cool tattoo though. Let's see. Yeah, Solomon looking freaking dapper.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty good.
But all right, so I think we've last chance saloon for anyone who wants to get the score in. We're gonna go ahead and start tabulating.
All righty.
And speak now, forever hold your peace.
Okay, Kenny, let's go.
Let's do.
From that voice inflection, I'm thinking he's not yet ready. All right, no problem. Here we go. 3.5, 4.5, 4. The Big Five from Matt Woods. 4.5 from Russ. 4.5, Mark Knapp. 4.5, personally, I love the inks. Okay, good for you, buddy. And Biggie Shack 3.
What?
Ooh. Steve Whiting 3.5. Oh, I guess Biggie is not a Buscema fan. Ooh, that's interesting news.
Must owe him money. All right.
Ooh.
He's just trying to draw heat. Don't let him get to you.
Yeah,
great words, buddy.
I think he doesn't like how often he gets mentioned as a peer of Kirby's. You know, he's like, no, Kirby's everywhere. Which I respect him. He's, you know, Was that all of them, Roger?
Oh, and one more, 4.5 just came in. Dathan J Knight. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I know what that is. Just look, that's a 4 from the chat.
Nice.
Kenny, you're about to go for the trifecta. You got the trifecta now.
Kenny is batting perfect, right?
One more for a sweep.
Wow.
Yeah, when it's Buscema time, I'm going to be right on target, brother.
Uh-oh.
All right.
I see a fight brewing in the chat here.
Oh, what am I missing?
Sorry, I left this up too long.
Look at Jackson Roykirk.
The Ducks 0.5 for Buscema? What does that mean?
Uh-oh.
Like I said, edgelord stuff. Don't worry about it. Biggie, we know what you're doing.
Yeah.
He's in Memphis territory, man. Drawing heat. That's all I can say.
Yeah.
But,
Okay.
So, all right. So we are down to basically our final graded section here that isn't decided by math. So we're going to go by the concept. This one might be a little bit more difficult on this book, just because it didn't really reinvent the wheel. But we'll see what the panel has to say about it. So, Dave, why don't you lead us off here? Let us know about the concept of this book.
Well, yeah, we've talked about the concept of Conan himself in previous Graders Notes episodes, right? When we did Conan #1, and we all agree that the fighting barbarian guy is a great concept, but a concept particular to this book, I liked it. I mean, it's not something brand new, right? It's obviously taken from the Iliad, is that right? Iliad or the Odyssey, or taken from the Odyssey, where
Odysseus, all them.
Yeah, where Odysseus gets brought to the island by the sirens, and his men get turned into pigs or whatever. So that kind of is definitely here as a these guys are being sirened in and then turned into like little octopus kind of slimy guys. Not so, and
Yeah.
what's that? Like I don't know what you would call them. They're monsters, right? Like their arms turn into tentacles and their faces peel all back, and they turn into what looks like some weird octopus kind of guy. So that's the concept of the story is old, right? Like I don't know how old the Iliad is, but so do I give the concept of this to Homer? Because I mean that was a pretty good concept from way back then. But reviving that with Conan, and it's a good idea, right? Like it's a classic story. Everybody's going to relate to this story because of the sirens and all that stuff, right? It's a classic sea tale as well. I like the fact there was a couple things. Like I like that he's helping out his buddy, like it's showing Conan's loyalty. I like that there was a sea chase. Like you can't really have a car chase, obviously, in Conan. So you either have a horse chase, a chariot chase, or a boat chase. That's about all you can have, right? Or a running chase, I guess. So the boat chase was good. The turntables, right? Just when we thought that they were going to get into the fight with the pirates get killed and they end up in real trouble, right? Like not, all of a sudden the hunters have become the hunted, as it were. So I like that, right? Like I liked a little bit of a switcheroo there. I think it helped to keep the story on its toes. Yeah, I was a little disappointed that we weren't going to get the Pirates versus Conan battle, and buddy that's kickback laughing there wasn't going to get a sword, rammed through his gullet by Conan. But on the other hand, I still got battles, and I got lots of battles, and probably more battles because of the way that changed, right? Fighting the monsters coming and going. So I got more battle panels and more fighting out of it than I would if Conan had just straight up attacked the pirates. So there was lots of fighting in this issue. That's always a positive in a Conan. You definitely don't want to read a Conan magazine where there's no fighting. What the heck is that? That's not a Conan story. So concept-wise, a little bit of a ripoff from the Iliad, a little bit of a disappointment when we don't get to see the pirates get their comeuppance, right? They get killed in the fog. No one ever gets to see it. I kind of was waiting for him to grab back the treasure, but he never did that. And yeah, so for the concept of this book, I gave it a 3.5. Right, a little bit stolen, but still had a couple of twists and turns that I liked.
All right, 3.5. And really, what in the comics industry wasn't stolen originally? Everything was based off the old myths and legends.
I suppose this one's pretty blatant, right? Like this one's pretty straight up blatant. I mean, I get it. Thor has been taken from Norse mythology and stuff, but like this one's pretty much a theft out story. You know what I mean?
But luckily, it was public domain even at that time. So, by about 2,000 years. So,
yeah.
Thank you, Homer.
Homer's not worried about royalties anymore.
With his family.
Is that public domain by now?
So, speaking of domain, let's talk about the domain of class, and that's none other than Kenneth himself.
Oh.
So, Kenneth, what do you think about the concept of this, Mr. Kati?
Yeah, the concept. It makes me think of one of my favorite scenes in Pulp Fiction when Jules and Vincent are in the diner, and he's like, man, I'm just going to quit the life and I'm going to walk the earth. And Vincent goes, what you mean walk the earth? And he's like, walk the earth, like Kane from Kung Fu, go place to place, meet people, get in adventures. That's the vibe I get from the Conan story. It's like there's something simple yet awesome about that. The traveling warrior who is going to make his way wherever on the planet that he goes, and the story just revolves around. It's not like this setting in a Gotham City, a metropolis, and that's your stage that you set, and you're going to world build that just cast of characters and all that. It's a man on the move, brother, and he's getting into these little, episodic adventures, and those are fun to read. It's welcoming to new readers, right? You can just hop on. Me as I've read very little issues of this series, and I didn't feel any worse for the wear, brother. I wasn't like, well, who's this? Why? I need to go back and read this. Like I said, it started out with him overlooking the city, rolling up, and at the end, he's gone. He skips town. They're all dead. He's going to the next town. So there's something kind of nice and simple about that, which I like. Now, it's not going to put it in the level concept-wise of, some of these more grandiose, intricate themes and stuff like that. Like you said, this particular issue was like a Homer-type story. So it doesn't make it a conceptual masterpiece, but I do think it's very fitting to the character of Conan. I feel like I didn't need too much. Well, I wanted a little more fleshed out from his relationship with that guy, but they could have did that in a page or two. I didn't need to read multiple issues beforehand. So for the simplicity of the concept, I'm going to give it kudos for the simplicity, in a good way. But because it's so simple, it's not going to get super high marks. So that for that reason, it's just above serviceable. There's been no serviceables, and there won't be on my watch tonight. So I'm going to go 3.0 on the concept. Did its job, really cool, but nothing really to write home about.
All right, 3.0, second lowest score.
What was
of the evening? Yeah, isn't that something? Other than the 1-2. Yeah. Well, 3. Oh, I'm sorry. 3. No, you had 3.0, didn't you?
3.0. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, what did Miracle give the cover again?
2.
Because I was like, what was lower than that? The cover.
So all right, so we got 3, so still respectable. But this book did not reinvent the wheel anyway. So right. Roger, why don't you carry us on down the road and tell us what you thought about the concept of this book?
Yeah, sure. Again, you're right, Gino. This is difficult to give a salient grade because it's sort of a middle of the run comic, or in this case, magazine, and that's part of my concept grade. And that this story was very well situated for this format. As I think Miracle pointed out, it's a longer story than a regular 32-page comic. And it has bigger panels because the magazine size, and I think that was actually a good idea for the more expansive panels that we're talking about. The isometric views, the longitudinal tunnel-like scenes, the boat chase scenes give you a good perspective of the gaps and so forth. So I think that part of the concept was well designed for this format. Also, there's no comics code because of magazine size, so they could have a little more, risque aspects, which is really very minor. The siren showed some residual breast areas, but honestly, that it could have been sort of easily transformed into a regular comics code without too much, manipulation there. But I do think that having this in this format was the appropriate thing to do. As far as the concept of the story and how it relates to Conan, I think that I liked the fact that they sort of took him off of a land-based adventure and put him as sort of like a buccaneer or a pirate, seeking retribution for a friend. And again, his loyalty, even though obviously he disagreed and he thought that the friend was, in the wrong and just weak, sometimes as a friend, you have to do things, even though the friend is doing it wrong, you support them and try to hopefully survive it. And unfortunately, the general did not. And of course, Conan did, as we all knew he would. So because of that, and because I believe that they're trying to sort of branch out his types of adventures. Like I think Dave was saying, yeah, it has a chase scene and you can't really do it with cars and so forth. So they did it with the conveyances available at the time, including, one of these galleons, etc. I don't have a problem with the concept. I can't give it a high grade because there's nothing very novel about it. There's nothing very inventive about it. It's solid. It's well done. It's appropriate, but it's nothing which I can say groundbreaking. Nothing that that I can give a higher grade because of what it is. So I agree with Kenneth here. 3, well done, good concept, but it's hard to give a much better grade than that because it's not an appropriate for this area of the run and of the character. So 3.
3's pretty good.
All right, 3. Yeah, 3 is very fair. And spoiler alert, I'm going to give it the same grade. And just run down real quick why. And the book is great. Marvel have been doing this book basically since it launched Conan. Looks nice in the big format. I love the pages. It just feels really good, and it's easier to manage than a freaking little comic. You don't have to squint so much. Everything's bigger. I kind of dig it. Conan belongs in this format. It works really well for him. So, but it's just another Conan book. If you get down to it, there's nothing new here. It's nice that it's like 101. There's some kind of grandiose theme going on, but it's another self-contained Conan story. That's how Conan stories are meant to be. He is not. I always pictured him as the kind of guy that got into adventures and then didn't care about. He never even thought back on them too much, other than for what information he gave him for the next battle. You know what I mean? So he didn't remember his conquest too much because if you read the books, once again, he just, as soon as he got money, he spent it. He was always broke and he's always having to be a mercenary or he had to turn to a pirate or something, So I guess what I was trying to ramble on about there is that Marvel at least did not do him disservice. And almost all the comic books, it could have been very easy to make him, 50 style freaking comic book guy, not killing people, not swearing, not wenching, not drinking. They kept true to the character. This book is no exception, other than him maybe being a little unforceful with the general. But once again, he lets people make their own mistakes too. He's like every man has to do things on their own. So yeah, nothing new here. Just a great Conan story. They put a good artist on it, of course, and it's in a good format. So, what's to complain about? Like I said, it's not reinventing the wheel. So this one's a little more ephemeral, but I'm gonna give it a 3 as well. Just a little above average. They just put out a good book. So, if only they could keep doing that all the time, I would be a happy camper and reader. So yeah, we give it a 3 too. Nothing new here, but hey, if it ain't broke. So we have
Amen.
Miracle has entered the spiral, the death spiral. So while he's reconnecting, we'll go ahead and reach out to the chat if you all want to throw your grades in there now for the concept of this book. I know it's a difficult one to judge, but it's difficult in a way, but it's also easy in a way because you don't have to think about any kind of high themes or there's no tie-in, there's no important events happen in this book that tie in 50 issues down the line. So let your voice be heard now.
That's right. My advice is either go with your gut or just agree with me.
Oh man!
I just wish all comics could be so good. You know what I mean? Just solid stories with good art, good stories. They don't have to have these huge winding sagas going on. Just write good books, man. That's all you got to do.
I got to say, Dave, this was like a good pick, man. I was pleasantly surprised by how much I enjoyed it with you.
Yeah, excellent.
Yeah, I definitely have fond memories of this one. I've had it in my collection forever and a day.
And like picking an issue like so into the numbers already, we get away from a lot of that first issue-itis, right? We get it like nobody had to explain who Conan was or anything, right?
In one of because once I got this book, I'm like, how many Buscema Conans are there? And from my research from this run, it wasn't that many, right? It was like a handful. Or am I wrong?
Savage Swords? Yeah, there isn't. I don't know how many he did.
He did the regular comic for a long time, though.
Yeah, he did the regular one for decades, right?
Long time. Yeah.
Like I think it also like 150 issues or so. But I'm not sure how much he did on the.
When you say that on the regular run, is that magazine format as well, or the main?
No. Conan the Barbarian. Yeah.
Right, the comics.
Yeah,
the one that Barry Windsor Smith started.
Barry Windsor Smith started, and he took over, and it ran 200 some issues.
I wonder how fast he can knock out one of those issues after like 100, being on this run for like 100 issues. He's already fast. So he has those guys down so much. He's like, okay, panel 3, Brazier, Conan, go. Panel 4, Goblet, Conan, Wench, go. He's probably so fast,
Yeah. And the that's another thing we got to give him credit for, that this is an extra length feature, and he had other jobs besides this, so he couldn't give it ultra detail except for those bigger splash pages, which were just so beautiful.
Oh yeah, I sensed that on like the
they were a bit rushed, so I didn't take off for that though, because knowing that he had the experience to do that, but Kenny, you probably know this better than being an artist, but if once you're an experienced artist, things are just like muscle memory at some point, right? I mean, they sort of draw themselves, and that's what Buscema, he has a certain way of doing things that he can do it quickly, but still with such quality, and that is a talent.
It was nice they put this in kind of an adult themed book. I mean, it was still Marvel, it wasn't epic or anything either, but I mean, they even showed it was just the slightest bit of like nipple here. I mean, I admire that they did that. They didn't over sexualize her. I mean, she's supposed to be sexual, but they didn't just focus on that. That's the character, how she is. She's supposed to entice men in, so they didn't hit you over the head with it. She's only like 5 panels in this whole book or something like that.
Yeah.
So it could have been completely blatant all the way through, but it wasn't.
Yeah, and the hair, generally would cover a lot of the private parts. It was well done, well conceived, honestly, very well conceived.
All right, so what do we got from grades? Looks like only 3. Last chance to get your grade in.
I think I gotta warn you, my phone charger appears to be junk, so my abacus is on the precipice of running out of gas. But
we don't even need it. It's going to be a 3 because
I see 3 votes.
3 votes. So
yeah, sounds good.
So you don't need the. We got the
it's a 3. And there's another 3.
Not for math mind can tell that this is just about a 3. Yeah, and Matt Woods put in a 3, so forget it. 3.
Yeah. Well, good choice, chat.
All right, so we're going to go ahead and start winding this down, and we're going to get into the overall score. This can be either the mean average of all of your grades or all grades, or you can just kind of make your own choice, get out there and be like a Conan and give it your own damn score, no matter what the numbers say.
And
so
don't leave and don't head out just yet, Notes fans, because we're going to hit you with next week's book. So stay tuned till the end.
All right, so let's go ahead and start. Let's start this a little bit different. Mad Dog, why don't you go ahead and lead us off with your overall score? Quick rundown.
Pleasantly surprised with this genome. I have read several Savage Sword of Conan, but not in a long time. I'm more I have more of the Savage Tales ones here, which I love these as well. But so I was pleasantly surprised. The cover I thought was, you guys didn't think it. I thought it got the job done. Striking, airbrush, different, took your attention. There was a threat. There was an homage. I thought there was a lot of elements. Yeah, it wasn't perfect. It was a little plastic. Thought it did the job well. For story, I had problems with the logic and how they portrayed Conan's in parts. I just thought that he's a little too much clever, and he's a little more too savvy than to go along with this. But the back end of the book was brilliant. The way that was fleshed out, his will and his indomitable will to survive just came through here, and the fact that he's just a cut above anybody else. The art, fabulous. The inking was a little bit too dark, a little bit rough. Few little problems with the faces. Pittance. Those are just nitpickings, hair splitting. Buscema, genius. For concept, like we just went through it. Nothing to really discuss there. 3. Overall, I'm right on the precipice of a 4 because, man, the art and it was so good, but the story was just a little too weak for me to go there. So I got to go with 3.5, but much better than most of the stuff I read lately. That's for sure.
Well, if you go by modern books, that's not saying much, but all right, 3.5 there, much better than serviceable. So well done, Roger. I guess I'll go ahead and go next with this layout. So, all right, the book is funny. You're just to add on something you're saying. I like the way this book is like a book of attrition. He starts out with like a full regiment of people, and then it's down to like a battalion, and then it's down to like a little platoon of guys, and then it's just Conan alone. So it's like his men are just keep constantly getting whittled down with every battle. So that was kind of a cool concept or addition to the story. All right, cover. I gave it a 3.5. A little bit plastic soul, man. Plastic soul, to quote the Beatles. Looks good in most parts, but a couple of things look a little bit phony-ish, to be honest with you. But I like most of it. So 3.5. For the story, I gave it a 3.5 as well. Really close to a 4. I just didn't care for some of Conan's inner monologues. I know he does speak to himself sometimes, but he laid out a lot, like sword thrusts and things like that. He talked about doing it. So it's like Conan didn't really do that, at least what I read of him, too much. So 3.5, really cool story. Just a couple things were a little bit lacking to raise his score. Interior art, it's a 4.5. I was so close to a 5 on this. I mean, it was just, if it wasn't for so many close-up faces that I didn't care for, some of the facial structures were just really wonky, and a couple of things looked just a little bit unfinished. I would have gave it a 5 for sure, but 4.5, super strong art inside. I don't care if it's black and white, color, whatever. If the art looks like this, I'm going to freaking like it. And the concept is just a 3. I mean, a little above average. It's a Conan story. It's a bigger Conan story than usual. More going on, more moving pieces. But at the end of the day, it's just a Conan story. Nothing too amazing, but it's cool in magazine format. I kind of dig it. So I gave it a 3. So my overall score is a 4. And I think this book deserves at least a 4. I could even see myself going 4.5 just by going on my fanboyism. Because as a Conan fan, this gives me a Conan fix. This book is like reading almost like a Robert Howard story. So I dig it. 4. I'll leave it there. I'll let the math do the talking and just leave it there. But really pretty exceptional book. And I'm very happy to revisit this one.
Nice.
All right, Dave, if you want to hit us with your rundown there.
Well, I didn't, like I said, I wasn't partial to the cover. I thought the cover, probably not one of the better ones on Savage Sword of Conan. Interior art, John Buscema. That's all I gotta say. Right, can't fault John Buscema. Got high marks there. Story was a bit of a ripoff. Well, lead it into a ripoff. The beginning kind of wasn't, but it's been done before. But it was done well, right? And I liked the way that it flowed and everything like that. So for a story that's been done a few times, I did like this reiteration of it. And concept of the book again, a little bit stolen here, some brand new stuff, but overall, putting Conan in that sort of siren Iliad kind of thing. The concept of this book, the overall of this book, I gave it a big fat 4. I really enjoyed it.
Good choice there. And it's actually kind of funny that you say that. Conan is a lot like Odysseus. He's the wandering adventurer. He's always going through trials, so his was just a little more violent for the most part. But yeah, good analogy there. So Kenneth, my friend, closing out our overalls, please give us your scores.
Yeah, man. The cover got a 3 from me. Just not particularly classic feel to me. It's like you said, the glossiness action figure look from the coloring. I kept on saying like how bright and popping the color was, but you're right. There is like I think maybe that might have been part of what I turned off on. And this gal is a miss. I don't care what you say. But overall, really good. It's still well done. It's above average. That got a 3 for me. The interior art got a 4. It's always a pleasure to see John Buscema doing his thing in the comic book art game. He's Mount Rushmore of comic book artists, so you gotta respect. However, it's like because it threw me back a little bit from the Buscema that I've been exposed to, because this is rushed Buscema in my opinion, and I know Metarog cut him a little bit of slack, but he is the emperor of empathy, if you will. So I'm not cutting him as much slack as Roger did. So that's why I brought it to a 4, just because it's not. I think he could have done. It would have been nice to see him illustrate this book with a little bit of time. Can you imagine? This is almost like this is what he can. Basically, this is like what Buscema can do with one hand tied behind his back. Mm-hmm. And imagine if he had both hands free, dude, with like a nice schedule to spend time. This thing would be in the goddamn Museum of Art. So that got a 4.
Material.
The story was 3.5. Nice, tight little adventure, ups and downs, clever stuff. Kept my attention the whole time. It didn't drag for me, which was good. In and out adventure. Same thing with the concept. I kind of just my take on the concept. I talk a lot about that it was an in and out adventure, and that's almost the concept of this, the wandering soldier, warrior rather. So I thought it's cool, but nothing to write home about. 3, and even 3 for that. So all that being said, I can't give it a 4 because I only gave it 1 4 out of the 4 categories.
You can do whatever you want.
You can do whatever you want.
Oh no, I know. I'm
cold science, or
I'm explaining what's going on in here. So I'm not going to give it a 4 because I only gave 1 of the 4 grades that. I'm not going to give it a 3 because there is a 4 on the board and a 3.5 on the board. So my overall grade is a 3.5. Thank you.
3.5. All right. That's an awful lot of fireworks for that fizzle out. All right, 3.5.
We fizzled out there at the end.
I was really happy with this book, and I was glad to revisit it. I actually just dug it out by accident. I was like, oh, I remember this being a real cool story. I didn't even look at it again before I put it to the chat to pick out again. So
Genome always has fun picks, man.
It was a good pick.
Yeah.
Wait till I dig into the boxes down in the basement. Oh, that's gonna be some fun stuff.
I want to see some water damage buddies. I want to see one that's like just gnarled and
water damage.
Oh, I got plenty of those. I look at some of my Amazing Spider-Man Venom issues. Some of the classic like 347 and 348 and all that. They're just completely freaking dwarfed, man. Looks like Wet and Wild in there.
Did you have a flood?
Oh yeah, that's how most of my comic book. I lost about 8 long boxes. It's my whole collection when I was younger. I kept them in a closet in this trailer we lived in. I moved out of the house, and unbeknownst to me, a water pipe burst in the wall, and it just soaked everything in my closet for days upon days until they found out about it. And what wasn't completely ruined, like it was either molding up or whatever, some of it got just a little warped. Very little of my collection escaped. I probably don't have even a full-on box anymore of my original collection. So yeah, it's pretty rough.
Burn.
I call it the Great Flood. Yeah, I know. I had like Gambit first appearances. Most of my stuff was right off the shelf was when I got it, So I mean, nothing too extremely valuable, but for me, it was a lot of money down the toilet. So
It had a lot of sentimental value too, right?
It did. It did. So a lot of the books I have now, you'll see have water damage. Not this one, but anyway. All right. So it's been a great book to review. It's been great to see what the chat thought about it. So what we'll do now is pick our next book, and then we will talk real quickly about what each of us is doing on the channel here in the near future. And since it's Mr. Miracle's pick next, I'll let you lead it off, sir. Start with the book.
Right. So what should we pick for next week? I got an idea here. You guys want to take a look? What if we did that guy?
Wow.
Ooh.
The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, #1.
Alan Moore, right?
I have to do that in a Connery voice.
Oh, man.
I don't know if you guys have read this one before.
I'm down with it. I'm good with it.
I haven't read it, but
It's not too expensive. Right? It's never been one of those books that have picked up in price or anything. So if you want to get the real one, I suggest getting the real one. Yeah, it should be interesting. If you like, we could, compare it to the movie as well. See how it.
God, that fucking movie.
I mean, that movie didn't speculate the book to the stratosphere. I can't believe it.
Yeah, you'll enjoy the book more than the movie. I would imagine.
We're already getting grades on the book.
I just figured it'd be nice to do something that isn't DC and Marvel.
Yeah.
Like this is by a publisher called America Best Comics.
Yeah. Yeah, let's see. Tom Strong under that. I think he did Promethea under that.
Yeah, I was thinking about pulling a Dark Horse book next or something, but it's been a while.
Nice.
All right, so cool. We have our next book.
Yeah, Alan Moore, baby. I don't think we've done we did Neil Gaiman with 1602, but we haven't done Alan Moore, I don't think, yet.
We came real close. We almost picked Watchmen last time.
Yeah.
Alan Moore knows the score.
Yeah, we can discuss Alan Moore writing. That's fun.
All right, cool. We got our book picked out. So Dave, what's going on with the channel here in the near future?
Well, I did put out a 5 more undervalued last week, and getting together to try and get one for next week as well. But man, it's getting tough to put these videos together without my LCS being open. That's for sure. But I'll manage. We'll get another one out on the thing. I'm fast approaching that 1,000 mark. Kenny, I'm sorry I couldn't come to your 1,000K celebration the other night. Just wasn't able to get there. I did watch a lot of the replay. It looked like you guys were having a good time doing it. So again, congratulations for that, bud. And that's about it for me right now. Just working on another 5 undervalued, trying to keep them rolling.
Well, here's the consistency. All right, so Kenny, can you add on to that with your own channel comings and goings?
That's yes, I can. Thank you for the kind words, Miracle. Couldn't have done it without you, sir. There's an auction coming, man. Saturday night. It's always an electrifying event when 84 does an auction. So myself, and we keep it lean and mean, man. There's no never-ending panel of auctioneers, brother. We're talking me, first edition comics, Lawrence, the king of comicdom. That's right. The trifecta, bringing you the heat, some fantastic books. So that's like Saturday night at 8 p.m. I think. So it'll be a fun hang. We're gonna incorporate some giveaways into it because that's just how we roll. We like to throw out the karma as well as sell the books. So when I do an auction, it's 84 tradition to do a preview video because I like people to know what to expect, etc. I got to cook that up soon. So I'm going to try to get that up tomorrow. And tomorrow is also the Mega Power Hour. I know our pal Biggie Shack was on break, but I think he's back. I mean, he was posting vids. So I think we'll do a Mega Power Hour Friday night. Come and check us out. Over and out. Thank you.
All right, nice stuff. Oh, by the way, I didn't mention it. The chat overall score was a 3, by the way. So
nice.
Came in below all of us. Amazing. I don't know.
That's rare. Yeah.
So I didn't stick the landing. I was going the whole way.
Nope.
Can I
It
change my
happens.
answer? No, I wouldn't.
You lost him at Story, I think is where you lost him.
Oh,
that's
really?
The only one, that's the only one you missed, yeah.
What did they say for Story?
They said 3, and you were 3-5. So it cost you the game, my friend. I'm sorry.
Oh, so close.
So close. All right. So close to perfection sits before us right now. Mr. Medarog, why don't you please tell us what comes close and near on the channel for you?
You've missed too many of those psychiatric sessions there, Dino. Well, first of all, Kenny, man, I'm going to be there for that auction. Lauren showed me what he's going to put up.
Ooh.
Man, oh man. Wait till you see what he's got. Oh man. Okay. But enough of that. On my channel, Saturday or Sunday, I'm going to have a support video up. Quickie. There's not too many contests that requires videos, so it's going to be kind of a quickie. Tuesday, I'm going to be doing one of my female character retrospectives. Can I say it here? A little preview. It's going to be the cat / Tigra. Right?
Avengers West Coast, baby.
Avengers West Coast. You're going to see that. You're going to see a lot of Marvel chillers and Avengers and well, anyway, that's going to be happening on Tuesday. If I can get my wife to go outside for a little while she's working. And then on Thursdays, of course, we have the roundup as usual. So remember to check that out. I usually have a little extra something on there as well. So that's what's going on. Genome, what's up with you, sir?
Oh man, actually, it's been a little bit quiet on the home front as of late. Amazing, but true. Oh, you know, I wanted to mention too is Gray Man would be very happy to hear about Tiger. He has a thing for her, man. He's always bringing her up. But yeah, so the channel is, just chugging along like it normally does. I have an interesting interview prospect that got back to me. So that maybe in the future actually has to do with movies, not comics. The comic artist that I had lined up kind of ducked and he backed out. So afraid I couldn't bring that to you. But maybe in the future he'll come back. I don't know. But yeah, so maybe another interview coming up here in the semi-near future.
Fire it in.
What's that?
Fire it in.
Fire it in. Oh, yeah. I've been doing my Bill Alexander montage videos. I love doing those. I did a painting today, actually. I did a seascape today when I was in the office. But so, just more review stuff. I've been starting to review the Nightmare on Elm Street series, and the first 2 are uploaded. And I got a whole bunch more to go through, so just stay tuned for more of that. And what else? I had something else interesting going on, and I can't remember what it was, but I don't know how interesting it could be. I've been doing room walkarounds and stuff, so I don't know. I'll feel like it's something new to put up there, but yeah. So just pretty much standard stuff for me.
Did you say about your cover of the week?
I did not do my cover of the week this week. I have it. I just didn't actually do it. I know I'm awful, but things got kind of weird this week. But I'll have it probably the next day or so. I actually have my music review. It's queued up. I've even built the presentation for it. I just actually got to shoot the damn thing. So I actually have to shoot those twice because I green screen it. So I got to shoot it listening to it silently or not listening to it, but listening to it offline, and it's not fun.
You see what Bub is saying in the chat here about Eugenio?
Well, you know how it is, man. I always get the job. I get the job done, and people probably get tired of hearing from me, but I reach out and keep pestering them until they give me an answer, yes or no, at least. So most of the time it's no. For every interview you see me do, I probably get 10 rejections. So just keep that in mind too. And it's a lot of back and forth, and most people don't even check their messenger or their email or Facebook that much. So
Gino's out here working hard for us.
Oh man, hardest working man in show business.
And
I'll take that title
on YouTube by far.
But hey, I'm just also glad that you guys, of you huge sub count guys, would be seen with me on a show, man. I'm very, very touched. All you 1Kers out there.
I think we need a mega power hour appearance from Big Gino.
Oh Lord,
I think it's time.
Well, I do have to look now, don't I? I have to go get me a strap though. I don't have one of those, but.
Oh, just CGI one in there.
Yeah, you got your green.
Yeah, that's true. I'll put my head on Macho Man's body or something. Yeah. There we go. But,
you've been beheaded. I mean, you figure you can put a belt on there somehow.
I can figure something out. But anyway, hey, I'll let everyone get going. I know it's been it's a long show. I want to thank everyone in the chat for being part of this. We look forward to this every 2 weeks. Next one will be on Mr. Miracle's channel. As long as your internet is still working, we're going to do League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, Alan Moore story. So good times will be had by all. Want to thank Metarog, Miracle, and Comic Head for making this a great show and my favorite thing to do on YouTube. So unless you guys have any further to add, I'm going to go ahead and cut it out from here.
Good.
Good. Thank you, Gino.
All right. Thanks again.
A fortnight from tonight.
For tonight it is. So thanks again, chat, and stay tuned in 2 weeks for the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen on Miracle's channel. Until next time, this is Genome and August Panel.
Bye, guys.
Out.